Okay, what we're doing today is we're going to put some track on this stug, this dragon stug that I have. I've already prepared my model, have all the wheels on. These are not glued on, all the row wheels are not glued on, but the idler wheel is, the return rollers are, the drive sprocket is not. And the reason I already glued the return rollers and the drives, or the idler wheel, is so that it is nice and straight. Because one thing that you have with armored vehicles is the drivetrain is completely straight. It's not canted, it's not crooked, it's not out of whack in any way, shape, or form. So what I have here is this is just painter's tape that you get from your local hardware store. And what I've done is I've jumped ahead in the instructions. I've built the entire tub. Now I'm going to put the track on the tub of the tank before I put the fenders on. Makes it a lot easier to install. And for me, I usually leave the track onto the vehicle through the whole painting process. I'll leave it on like this, and I'll paint everything with the airbrush all at one time instead of trying to paint them separately. So I have painter's tape, sticky side up, and then these end pieces just hold this sticky side down. I've marked off, the instructions say 94 pieces, so here's my start point. I've counted out, and I'll add the last couple of pieces here before we start to put the glue on. So I put the last several pieces on, and that should be 94 individual track lengths. Now what I'll do is I'll run liquid cement over the entire process, and what that does is it locks it all together. So the good part about the German track here with Dragon is there's no end pieces, there's no center guide horns that have to be put on separately. It's all one shot. And I'll put this on, and then I'll wait, I don't know, 10, maybe 15 minutes, and it'll start to stiffen up. And then, as you can see, the track is only on the tape about halfway, not all the way onto the tape. And the reason I do that is it's easier to get the track off of the tape when it's still pliable instead of trying to force it off. And what I'll do is I'll take the edge of a steel ruler when it's time to get the track off the tape, and I'll use it like a spatula. All at one time, the entire track will slide off the edge, and I'll make sure that it's all nice and straight and put back together. And then I'll loop it around the wheels on the vehicle itself, and make sure that I get the correct sag that I'm looking for. Now with vehicles that have return rollers on, usually you don't have a lot of sag, and that's to make the track nice and tight. They would adjust this rear wheel to make the whole track nice and tight. But as you see a lot of photos of actual wartime vehicles, there's a lot of sag because the maintenance doesn't get done. So what we're going to do is we're going to wait a little bit, and then we'll come back and I'll go ahead and pry this off. Okay, and we're back. I think the track has set long enough. It's been about 10 minutes. So what we're going to do is we're going to scrape it off. Here's my steel ruler. I'm going to stick it under the edge and try and get it all the way down the edge of the track, and in one shot pop the track off the tape as to not break any of the joints of the track. There it is. Voila. Okay. So there's our track off. It looks like it's not doing too bad. So what we're going to do is I'm going to go down and I'm going to push all the joints together to make sure that everything is nice and tight. And once the glue starts to set, you can kind of squish the links together to make sure that they're nice and tight. And by doing that, you'll have a nice looking track when it's all done. Okay, so we're going to put it on this side. I'm going to start on the top, and I think this is in the correct direction. We'll make sure that the track is moving in the right direction. See how it has a little bit of sag to it? Okay, that's correct. And put in a little sag across the top, and due to the weight of the track, wrap it nicely around. Okay, there we go. And we'll do the same for the back side. Turn it up onto the side so I can work with it. Wrap it around, and I think I add one extra link so I can make sure that there's enough flex, enough sag to get that track to look the way I want it to. So I'm going to put one more link in here. There we go, one more link, and glue them in the other side. Pinch it together with the tweezers, make sure he's got a nice tight joint. Oop. There you go. Okay. Squeeze the guide horns together with the tweezers, make sure he's in there. Press down. Okay, now slid off the idler, or the drive sprocket, that's okay. Alright. Now, take up some of that extra slack across the top. Actually, that's a little bit more than I wanted, so I'm going to take that one link out. Find that joint, pull that link out, and push the links back together. There we go. Flatten it out. Make sure everything's on there. And push down. And make sure that the track on the bottom side comes up nicely around the edges to show that tension. Even though there's a little slack on the top of the track has some weight to it. Talking 1,000 pounds or more. So it's going to have a little bit of flex, a little bit of give. And then what I'll do, now that that's on, make sure I'll eyeball it down the side, make sure it looks nice and straight. It looks straight from the back. It's not canted. Front's the same way. If it is, just kind of bend it a little bit. And what I'll do, I'll leave that sit and leave it dry, and I'll line up all the other 94 pieces, and I'll do the other side. And then I'll leave it sit overnight, and that way it's rock hard the next day, and I can go ahead and when I start to paint, I don't have to worry about pulling it off or damaging it while I'm in the painting process. And that's how I assemble individual track link tracks for the Dragon Stug 3. Thanks.